I grew up in Arden Hills, Minnesota, and my house is, when you drive out of Bethel University's property, I grew up in the home that's just at the top of the hill, right past the tennis courts. Part of my family connection with Bethel University is my parents went there, and then also my grandparents went to Bethel. And so I've had a long connection with Bethel University and was really thankful to be able to go there, even though I was so close to home. I remember going to Trout Lake camps when I was 9 years old. My mother, when she was there back in the 50s, actually made her commitment to follow Jesus right on the lake shore, right outside the dining hall. And there's a really neat note that my mother wrote back to her mom that communicated the fact that she made a decision to follow Christ on the shores of Trout Lake camps. God moved in my mom's life and was able to, we actually still have the note that was written from way back then. And it's one of those things that I look back to and just say, God has been using Trout Lake camps in a powerful way to minister to not only people that I interact with, but also generations before that. When I was at Bethel College, Bethel University, during the summertime, I ended up serving up at Trout Lake camps for several summers in a row. And one of the things that I learned as a summer staffer was understanding about how to communicate the gospel to the next generation. It's a passion that I have. It comes from Psalm 145. Commend the gospel from one generation to the next. As I was a cabin leader, first time sharing my faith with other campers, I remember a camper, his name was Nick Loperfido. And Nick and I went down to the basketball court. He knelt down on the basketball court and said, I want to believe in Jesus. Can you tell me how to do that? He ended up giving his life to Christ. And so for me personally as a college student, that was extremely exciting to see Nick make a decision to follow Jesus for the very first time. And so I fell in love with Trout Lake camps and the ministry of communicating the gospel to the next generation. When I graduated from Bethel University, I had a deep desire to want to learn more about Jesus and the Bible. Bethel Seminary taught me how to communicate the gospel to different types of people. After I finished seminary, went to business school, and decided to throw my name in the hat for a position that they had at Trout called executive director. And for whatever reason, the doors opened up and started working at Trout Lake camps when I was 29 years old. The summer camp experience for kids and teens is incredible. Kids get to unplug and come up and be outside and be who God has designed them to be. And then you have all of our staff that provide the adrenaline, the energy, and kind of ties everything together as far as the relational side of the ministry. Many of our campers start coming to camp in their elementary age years. Then what happens is they go to our middle school camp, and at the middle school camp they're challenged to maybe consider to come back and be a high school volunteer. And some of those high school volunteers end up going and wanting to be on summer staff. And summer staff leads to maybe doing an internship with us. An internship leads to potentially maybe going on to be a youth pastor. Some of our youth pastors go on to be church planters and into lead pastoral positions. And so for me, as somebody who's been involved at Trout Lake camps for 16 years, I love seeing when kids come up through the entire Trout Lake camp system and end up going into ministry full time. I love being involved in something that's greater than myself because I loved the environment, I loved the outdoors, I love the fact that kids can have a great time and also hear the gospel. I personally can't think of a more powerful experience than to send a kid to summer camp to be able to communicate the gospel to them.